Well, doing this all over again. I don't mean WWE 2K20. I actually mean this exact episode. It's really annoying, but I had some sort of weird issue with the audio, and my part 3 commentary literally got merged somehow with a bunch of stuff from my part 2 commentary. So at points it's just two of me talking over each other, and one of them doesn't make any sense. So it annoying as it is, here we are. I don't remember what happened in this episode, so there's that at least. I remember the general gist, but if I said anything funny, if I said anything worth listening to,
This is it.
well, too bad, because you're not gonna hear any of it. The joys of editing, it's all a mess. I couldn't fix it. I thought it was just going to be a couple errors, but it turned out to be pervasive. It was throughout the whole audio. So I'm doing this over. Hopefully this will still get out roughly in time. But what are you gonna do? You gotta roll with the punches. But oddly enough, it makes perfect sense now, because my intro to that was, "Welcome back, you torture porn fans. Enjoy more of my misery as I deal with the constant headaches of trying to get this thing to work."
I bet you're here for Bret Hart, eh?
Hello.
Yep. So here we are on the road to Calgary, and as I predicted, there's no way they could just walk in and train at the dungeon. As you can tell, this clearly isn't the dungeon, and you'd have to be pretty dumb to think some middle-aged lady. Anyway. Oh man, it's super annoying, guys. It's super annoying.
So are you Bret's housekeeper?
There's a difference between the commentary I do for MFW, which needs to be after the fact, because I have to understand where the story is going and tell that story, and I have to do promos and stuff like that. This is something I would much rather prefer to be in the moment for, because that's how I'm feeling in the moment is the point of this. But I couldn't not put out the episode at all, and I didn't want to put it out there with the weird audio problems, because it would require me to do a lot of cutting, and things wouldn't make sense, and I'd have to tell you what I was trying to say, and anyway, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So yeah, here we are in the story. Dungeon's not going to work out because he is making computer porn jokes about BDSM dungeon stuff. But anyway, oh boy, it really took the wind out of my sails, because I was ready to edit. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I've been having my problems with this series, but it's I even said this in the original commentary. It's a relatively fun game, even with the hiccups. We knew that it was going to be janky. We knew that it was going to have some really rough writing on the story. But it would still be, mechanically, it's still, while it needs work, it's still fun at times. So why not keep giving it a shot? And as soon as I'm thinking that, I start editing this video, and it's a mess. The audio is a mess, and I can't do anything about it. So here we are, trying to do this all over again with Mullet McHammer stash. And as I predicted, and I had a feeling, I think I mentioned this in this episode, I had a feeling that Riley Flash, the guy from that podcast advertisement, was going to end up being that guy with the mullet and the mustache, but was also going to be the guy you trained with, not Bret Hart, obviously. And no surprises, absolutely the case.
We were able to stay in Calgary and learn from a former wrestler who, at least according to him, trained with the
As you're about to find out here.
I think he just ran next to one on a treadmill once.
So that's how you guys hooked up with Riley Flash.
There you go.
Yeah. After striking out at the dungeon, it was kind of our only option.
Even though Riley can be a bit much sometimes, he gave us the foundation we needed to get here today.
He also gave us Ringworm with his dirty mats, but that's a whole other story.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's where we're at. And I said it in this one. I don't know, there's a lot I said that I'm just like, I don't want to go back and say this is what I said then. It's kind of annoying. But I had a feeling at the way this character was going, I was like, okay, we're gonna get in the ring, and I'm gonna feel like a complete goober, because the way they're telling the story is pretty much exclusively that the female character is like a prodigy, and you're an absolute dope. And I don't understand. I said the way that it seems like a bad set of writers for a bad romantic comedy movie. Like, the movie got canceled mid-shoot, and they lost their jobs, and they were like, what are we going to do? And then WWE 2K's team was like, hey, we need writers for our story mode. We haven't done that yet. You want to do that? And they were like, yeah, sure, whatever. We'll just keep it exactly the same. We'll just throw in some wrestling stuff. And that's what it feels like. It feels like a rom-com writing team started work on a video game script and just was like, yeah, we could do this. It was like a bad Not Another Teen Movie level, writing job. It's going to be hard to see here, but you might notice that her boobs are missing because, as I discovered during this particular session, one of the glitches, there are many, one of the glitches was that top, if you give it to somebody, the part that is supposed to be like the underlayer that has a color and is like a bra, I guess, disappears. And it looks like somebody just amputated not only her breastises, but everything behind them, to the point that there's just a giant gaping hole in her body. It's very strange. But yeah. Yeah, this is so weird, because it's like, I've done after the fact commentary before, but like I said, it's for MFW, and it's a very different thing. I'm after the fact commentary for that is fine, because you're calling the action. It's a different thing. But like, in the moment stuff that I was saying is just never gonna be heard, because the audio is so borked. It's like, it's never gonna see the light of day. So here we are with me. And okay, we get to the cutscene here. And I had a feeling, as soon as this tag was made, I was like, oh, great, I'm going to get a chance to... And I was like, oh, he trips on the ropes. Like, I knew he was going to trip on the ropes. And then he started doing this, and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why would there's no crowd, first of all, to taunt to, and why are you up there for so long? And I was like, I thought I was going to get a chance.
Get your feet up on the turnbuckle.
And I was like, I know that. I know to do that thing. She doesn't know that. My friend doesn't know that. She doesn't watch wrestling. And I'm a complete goof. And he ends up... I was like, I didn't even get a chance to wrestle as him. He ends up just losing. And I was so angry. Because it's like I said, it's bad rom-com writing. It's like, she's great at this and she's competent. And she's like, oh, progressive female character is awesome. And she's so... on top of her game, she's going to be a prodigy, and everybody knows she's going to be great. And the guy is a complete goober who doesn't know how to do anything and thinks that it's all about being the sports entertainer. And it's like, it's rough, especially if you're a character. It's just like me, you put yourself in the game. You want to play as yourself, and you want to like escape from your life of normal everyday stuff and be a little bit cooler, a little bit more badass than you are in real life. And then the game immediately goes, nope, you're a loser. You're a complete jackass and you can't do anything right. And it's like, whoa, I didn't want to play a video game where I'm just the absolute worst. Here she is helping you up.
Guys, come here. We need
You're all
to talk.
scratchy and itchy. Yeah.
Is it about your disgusting ring mat? Because I feel like it's making me itch all over. Hey, what was that for?
For playing to an imaginary crowd.
Again,
Cost you the match.
nobody would do that. Super
Red,
stupid.
Great job. Keep it up.
Unless you're 12.
Remind me why I show up here every day to get tortured?
That's not torture if you're paying for it. Now,
It's
what I
on your
didn't tell
wall.
you
You don't
is
have to
that
keep
match
saying
was
it.
actually
It's on
a
your
tryout.
wall.
For what? Is WWE coming to town?
Not quite. It was a tryout for the local WinterFest that's coming up. The
Oh, yeah,
organizers asked me to
WinterFest.
put on a wrestling event.
WinterFest.
great.
Oh boy, they're coming back now. It's like a Vietnam
Rematch
flashback.
against those two.
slow down.
WinterFest.
After what I just
Oh,
saw,
boy.
only one of you was ready for their first official match.
Sorry, Red. You'll get your chance soon.
Look, that's
Red's the one who's ready.
a level of density that is only in bad comedies, like, or bad sitcoms, is what I think I said at the time. Because like he has to know he's bad.
Albert Asswipe. Bottom line,
He got
too
choked out.
focused on the
He didn't do
entertainment
anything.
side of things.
Like, she wrestled for the entirety of that match. Like, you would have to be incredibly dense.
WWE like 3 times?
4, if you count the time I helped carry Macho Man to the ring on his fancy chair gimmick.
You mean a sedan?
No, it was a chair, not a car. Either way, I was in WWE 4 more times.
The fancy
than
chair
you'll
is
ever
called
be.
the sedan.
I'll make it there someday.
That's where the
It's on my
car's
list.
name
Yeah,
sedan
and
comes
someday
from.
I'm gonna
Is
poop
from
golden
the chair
nuggets.
that is transported by
offense,
4
Red.
people or whatever.
Whatever. You'll see.
Anyway,
Congrats on getting your first match.
I'm so
We're all
defeated. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm so defeated.
Speaking of cheering her on, since you like running your mouth so much, you can accompany her to the ring as a manager.
And this is another point I got super annoyed, just like the character. It's like,
A manager?
a manager? So I was thinking about the Money in the Bank cutscene in the beginning, where it says, you know, he was there with her, like they always were. And I was like, wait, but he was also a manager in that, where she's doing the Money in the Bank thing. So are you meant to tell me
Okay. And what
that
about
this?
you?
I know we had a Falls Count Anywhere match with AJ Styles, and that was like a thing, and like, so okay, he clearly makes it to a main event level. But the fact that
Carl Botch, on account of all the
that he was a valet in that cutscene does not bode well. And I was like, I'm gonna be pissed if you go through this entire career mode and you're basically just her manager, and like you only wrestle from time to time, but for the most part you're Zelina Vega in it, where you're like mostly a manager and occasionally you wrestle. I don't want that from this game.
And you can spell it TRE, so it's kind of like 3 in Spanish.
And this is
in getting a 3 count to win a match.
3 in Spanish is tres,
Won't happen very often,
T-R-E-S,
but you get it, right?
tres, not
Yeah, I get
not
it.
Trey.
Great. Then
So it's a
Trey
bad
is.
name. It's the same as Buzz.
Thanks a
Red
lot.
is generic but decent. Buzz and Trey are the worst
And hey,
character
I just
names,
realized we can cross that
and
off
I
the
don't know
list.
why they don't come up with better.
Awesome wrestling names.
No, you can't scratch that off the list because Trey sucks. Trey sucks. Anyway, yeah. Oh boy. WinterFest is coming. Oh, I didn't think of that joke the first time. See, well, there's some silver linings. WinterFest is coming. That's funny. That's funny. Something's got to be funny, right? That's Peyton Royce right there. Looks all right in that shot, but you will see when her extra character model comes into play, there is something going on with her eyelashes. I don't know what is going on, but it looks like she, in that winter of Canada, she somehow like froze icicles on every single one of her eyelashes. It looks very strange. She's got some wonky eyes. Yeah, we check the text messages, do that. At this point, you're pretty sure that, or at least I was, that your mom and dad are about to figure out very soon that you ain't in college. That's not where you are. But yeah, check the messages and why is this open so long? I must have been saying something about it, but I don't know because that audio is messed up, so I can't tell you what I was saying at the time. Yeah, wrestling boots are us again, and yeah, oh yeah, what we discovered is the other 2 wrestlers are like super high on Red because she's awesome, and they're just like politely treating you like garbage, and you're apparently trying to get a date with Josie Jane, and it's just not happening because you suck. Again, it's like if you're a male player playing this game and you want to like live vicariously through that character, it's a pretty miserable experience. It's just like you're just being crapped on the entire time. There better be a redeeming arc to that story.
Welcome back to Women Who Fight,
And the
where
podcast
we cover
here.
everything from the world of women's professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. I'm your host, Robin Ray, along with my good friend and MMA junkie, Kit Lasco.
Hey.
I don't know who these are
Kit,
supposed to be
I know
or
you've
if they're
been
just
dying
fictional
to
characters
talk
or
about the
anything like that.
Ronda Rousey situation, so
Obviously, it's a fictional podcast, but I don't know if it's supposed to be
Well,
based on like a
everyone
real
has already broken
podcast.
down
Just
Ronda's
like change
title
the
loss
names.
to death, so I don't think there's any need to cover that. Okay, but what I do want to talk about is who's next. Assuming Ronda is going to be out a while, who's the next big thing to come along in MMA and take over the division like Ronda did?
Oh, well, I was prepared to discuss upcoming opponents for Charlotte's Divas Championship.
I'm still wondering why they keep calling it
don't
Charlotte's
ask me.
Divas Championship.
Okay, fine. Well, I'll just hit you with one name.
Why
to
Diva?
remember. Brooklyn Von Braun.
Okay.
Like,
She was a state
genuinely, like,
champion wrestler in high school.
if
who
it's a
was recently
timeline thing, I
retired
get
from
it.
MMA, and she looked
That there was a
absolutely
Divas Championship up
dominant in
until
her
a
first
certain
couple
point.
fights.
But
Brooklyn Von Braun.
there's a lot of weird
I'm not-
overlap, like the
all
Ronda
right.
Rousey stuff and
So, can we talk
the
about Charlotte now?
Dude, we only spent
Because
like
Ronda
10
Rousey coming
seconds
in
talking MMA. WWE
to the
always
women's
gets the
division
majority of the
happened
show.
way later when there was
It is
no
my
Divas title.
studio.
It's your parents' basement.
So
Yeah, that's been converted into a professional
like,
podcast studio.
Your mom brings us oatmeal cookies.
I don't know
and
if like the
lemon
writers of
water, okay?
2K20 just like forgot that the Divas Championship wasn't a thing forever.
No, I'm just saying we should be
I
balanced
don't
with
know.
our coverage.
I don't know. It's very strange. There's some weird issues
As
with that.
always, women who fight also applies to your two hosts. All right, let's just take a break and sort this out.
Yeah, whatever. Fine. I think I just heard the timer go off on the cookies anyway. They smell really good.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, that was these podcasts, man. They're brutal. They're really brutal. Yeah, and I think I just clicked that so it would go away because the notification. Anyway, going to WrestleFest. Come on, click the button. Go to WrestleFest. Yeah, that's right past me. You know what to do. Yeah, see, a decent Peyton Royce character model there, and it's obviously the NXT version of Peyton Royce back when she had a different look. And I was saying I'm hoping that when you move forward in the future, if you run into her again, she has her current look, like with the shorter hair and a different hair color and different outfit. I think that's a cool level if they do that, where like the past versions that you run into, the pre-NXT or NXT characters, have those looks versus when you meet them later, they have their current WWE looks. That would be a nice touch. But yeah, here we are. And I said immediately, I was like, are we wrestling outdoors? Because that makes no sense.
What are
Like,
the chances I can bring this
the health of your wrestlers and the ability to wrestle, like, wrestling in winter in Canada outdoors makes no sense. You would risk all of your people getting pneumonia or frostbite or worse.
I had to make like 7 connections to get here from Orlando.
Oh, hey, Peyton.
See what I'm talking about with those eyes?
I
They're
appreciate you
freaking
doing me
weird.
this favor. Red and Trey, this is Peyton Royce. We met when she trained here in Calgary, and now she recently signed with NXT.
Mm-hmm.
So who am I facing tonight? And by the way,
Oh my
it's
God, look at
cold
those
enough
freaky
to freeze
eyes.
the tail off a brass kangaroo. Can I have this heater out there? for
Again,
match?
the obvious, like, we have to make sure that people know she's Australian despite her accent being a clear indicator. So let's give her jokes about, like,
Wow.
brass kangaroos
It's
and
an
koalas
honor.
and stuff.
We actually watch you on NXT all the time. And at least when my friend Trey here isn't hogging the laptop.
Again,
and
if they're in
watching weird
NXT,
videos of
and
who
NXT's a
knows what.
thing,
She's kidding.
then the Divas Championship is long gone, because I'm pretty sure the Divas Championship was like FCW era, and then when by the time NXT came around, it was a women's
Red's only
championship
been
again.
training for about 3 months.
Unless I'm wrong about that
Take her
timeline, I'm
lightly,
sure
she's
somebody can
really
correct me.
good.
3 months?
Where was she looking, by
Longer
the
than
way?
that
She
to
like
get
looked
here.
into her own
What
shoulder.
kind of stupid name is Red? If anything, with your lack of experience, you should call yourself Green.
What? Anything she says with that accent is funny.
After I'm done with you tonight, you'll understand why they call me Red. Because all that pretty white snow out there will be stained red with your blood.
And once
And
again,
then every
this is
time it
where
snows,
the
the
bad
children
comedy
who are here
movie writing
tonight
comes in,
will be
because
reminded of the
I don't care how
carnage they
crazy
saw
you
and
are, and I'm
refuse to go
super elaborate
outside.
sometimes when
And
I'm
after they
joking
spend
around.
weeks in the
I
hospital
sometimes
and
go
are
into
finally
great
able to
detail.
drag your
This
broken body
sounds
onto every walk
pre-written.
in Orlando.
It doesn't sound like
I'll be
something
so
she just came up
paranoid
with
by
off the
sight
cuff
of your
because
mangled
she's
face,
crazy.
He will lose control of the plane, sending it crashing down to the earth. And
Like this fantasy scenario she's built up that's part of her like promo insult, that
You have
doesn't,
major issues.
you don't come up with that off the top of your head. No one does. That is
What the heck
pre-written.
was that?
The old
Like super
hot-headed
elaborate
Red
stuff that you come
comes
up
out when she gets
off the top of
angry.
your head still isn't
Been
that
working on dialing
long-winded
it back.
and
I like the
specific.
intensity, but just focus
And
that on
like
your
it
match,
doesn't
okay?
track.
And if
It's
you can
bad
take a break
writing.
while you're painting the snow red with Peyton's blood, maybe you
just
stop
it
and soak everything in.
as somebody who's
Match
written
after
before,
all,
as somebody
which is a
who's
big deal. It's
like
on our
acted and
list.
directed before and stuff like that,
Sorry.
I get that
Right,
is a
and
little
I'm
pet peeve
happy
of
you'll
mine.
be
It's
out
just
there
like
with
when the
me.
writing is
I'm
super unnatural.
gonna go stretch.
Should I tell anyone with kids to leave?
Nah, she'll be fine. I hope.
Yeah, but whatever. This is like, it's super weird doing this. Because I'm thinking back on like the actual episode, and I'm pretty sure I was way more entertaining. Because I was reacting to stuff as they happened. So it's a different thing. And like I said, MFW is allowed to be more structured the way that I'm doing this now, because you're trying to tell a story in a certain way, but that's not what I was doing with this playthrough. I want it to be more my reactions to things, and that didn't happen. So what are you gonna do? I guess gotta roll with the punches, as I said before. I'm pretty sure I said those exact words. Stop repeating myself here, but yeah, the invisible boobies became even more apparent here with this particular ring, because you can see right through them. And so yeah, you have a match with Peyton Royce here. Goober is your manager. It's a pretty standard stuff. I did all right with this. Once I got used to the control scheme, getting used to the reversals is the most difficult part. If you've played a lot of these games before, then you're used to the triggers, and relearning it, is rewiring your brain like that, is very difficult at first, because your instincts and your muscle memory kick in first. But I think definitely making her the giant archetype helps, because she's just so hard to knock down. So especially in the women's division, she's rarely going to walk up to anybody who is going to put her on her butt easily, which helps. Only adding to the fact that like my character is a striker and has like the skill set that I do in real life. Like I've had training, I know how to handle myself. So the fact that like I've given him all these cool strike moves and technical moves and submission moves that I can do, but he can't even like get the right boot on or get into the ring, is so frustrating. Later on, I end up getting the points to you know, do some editing again and add some more stat stuff, and I give him some more moves, and he gets some like springboard moves and stuff, and I'm like, will I ever get to use any of it, or will he just always be a comedy jobber? Oh, and I said I knew it, like, because of the way the story mode is, the cutscenes are just going to determine, like, she always does well with the cutscenes, and, like, even when I'm doing well in the match as my character, I bet you I'm going to get, like, jobbed out and goobered by the cutscenes for the story mode. It's going to happen. This is supposed to be the rise of Roman Empire. It's supposed to be the story of how we both rise to become amazing superstars, and so far, it is oh, good. Yeah, that was way off. It's supposed to be a body splash. I don't know what happened there. But it's going to be the story of how, like, I'm going to be pissed, I said, if the story is how he lucked himself into a career that gets him into the Hall of Fame just by being around Red. If, like, he doesn't do anything to actually deserve being in the Hall of Fame himself, and, like, he just always gets fluke victories, or he always just, like, squeaks out a big moment, I'm going to be so upset, because that's not the story I want to play. That's not why you get these games, to be the comedy jobber goober. I mentioned playing Greedfall, but by the time of this recording, I've actually beaten it. Great game. Had a lot of fun with it. So now I pretty much have to devote my time to this. So here we are. But while I'm here, I'll also tell you that I've downloaded a horror game that I love. I haven't played the game yet, but I love the creators of the game. They did Until Dawn, for those of you who know that. And that Until Dawn series, like all those games coming from that developer, they're very cinematic horror movies, but it's like you're making choices and you're doing action sequences to try and keep everybody alive. And normally when I play those types of games, I save a lot, and I reload when something doesn't go right, and I try to get the best ending the first time around, if possible. And I'll inevitably miss stuff and have to go back, like with the mystery games and stuff like that, the thrillers. If there's an investigation, if you miss stuff, you don't get the ending that reveals everything to you, so that's tough. But I usually do that. But with this, because I hate horror games, I hate being scared, I'll be playing it at night as opposed to during the day, because that's usually how I do it. And if I do play it during the day, I'm gonna turn off all the lights. I'm gonna fully commit to the scary, and I'm not gonna be able to go back. I'm gonna give myself that rule, that whatever I do, I just have to live with the consequences. So if people don't survive, so be it. That's what the horror movie genre is about anyways. Dumb people making dumb decisions who get killed for it. So I'm gonna play that game the whole way through, no redos, no undoing any decisions I made, and just see how many people I can get to survive by the end of the story, and just see what story we end up telling.
Koalas are cute, but they have terrible personalities.
Oh god, this is just... That's another thing I was gonna... You're not even good at being a manager. Like, your jokes suck, your trash talk sucks. You're just making bad Australian references, and it's awful.
Your chain of steakhouses is severely overrated.
It's awful. It's gooberlicious, man. It's so goobery. It's goober McGruber. It is so bad. It just makes you look like an absolute dope.
After the wrestling matches are over, be sure to check out the ice sculpture contest. It's the
Big old boot, and I think I followed up Hogan style with her, her finishing leg drop. Get those big old thick thighs right on the chest. That's thick with 2 C's, baby. And that should be the 3 count. Yeah, I think so. I don't think resiliency is even in the game, and if it is, it's not very common. I think they took that out. Probably a good thing, because matches will last like an hour in 2K19 if you have resiliency and the generic AI settings for like the reversals and kickouts and stuff like that. I messed with the settings in MFW, and then I had to rework them. Because I was, as you probably noticed, I have no catch finishers as of yet. There are later on, in later episodes, but there weren't for a while, because I was checking out the list here, because that's what they give you to look at. Because she gets her first match and she wins it, and so she crosses them off. Anyway, in MFW, there were no catch finishers for a while, but there will be. But that was because I had to mess with the settings, and so I just reset them and then changed things. I think it has to do with the stamina. If you mess with the stamina, then the AI doesn't have the stamina, or doesn't figure out how to use the appropriate amount to do stuff like catch finishers. Anyway, that's the gist of that. But let's get back to this episode, to the present. So yeah, look forward to horror games. I'll be playing those at some point. Right now, there's another episode after this one, the rest of WinterFest. That's another like half-hour episode. I may try to do more. I may try to make them like 45 minutes, just so we can get more done, because I feel like I'm lagging behind on this story. It's moving slowly.
That was awesome.
But we'll see. Maybe I'll keep the half-hour mark. I just don't want to do 100 episodes of this story mode.
I'm just frozen, but either way, I get to cross 2 things off our list.
I mean, maybe I'll mix it up, you know? Maybe I'll, like, you know, do 2 uploads a day starting in a couple weeks, and try to upload other stuff besides the story mode.
Maybe if I see you again, I'll have some backup too.
Referencing Billy Kay, she'll have her Iconics partner later on in the story, I'm assuming, in the timeline.
You're way more pleasant, and I'm actually a big fan of your people's blooming onions.
You're a total bogan.
Wait, is that a good thing?
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's like the
Congrats
Australian
on your
version of like
first win, Red.
white trash.
I knew you wouldn't let me down. And you're not going to either, Trey.
What do you mean?
It's been a last-minute change of plans. My surprise opponent for tonight was injured.
Is that who I think it is?
I was like, why is Tyler Breeze here?
The king of Cuteville, Prince Pretty. Unfortunately, I slipped on some ice and stubbed my turning toe.
Your turning toe?
Yes, the most important toe.
Yes. I don't know why he said it that way. Yes.
Turn on a runway.
Like Victor Price, or Vincent Price, sorry.
Models.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a shame all these uggos here tonight will no longer get to see me compete against Riley Flash. Not that it would have been much of a contest.
Later dialogue, he's all right,
Look at this
but if for some reason this section of dialogue is just like he was not, he didn't, he was like wasn't trying, he just didn't
To
care.
be fair, some of my finer boots are slip-ons that don't have any laces, but you get the point.
Anyway, Trey, I need you to take Tyler's place against me.
I thought you said I wasn't ready.
You're not.
But I liked what I saw from you out there during.
I said that even before I knew what the line was going to be
Also,
the first time I watched it too.
All right.
It's like
I'll do it.
I know where this is going.
First match.
Oh boy.
You want a picture to
boy.
commemorate this moment?
That'd be great.
And I was like, yeah, he's gonna take a selfie of himself, dopes. He has it on a selfie stick. Why would he?
Nailed it. I'll post it for you. Hashtag gorgeous.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yep. Yep. That's where we're at. That is where we're at. So yeah, next episode you're gonna see me replacing Tyler Breeze and facing off against Riley Flash. And I probably said it then. I'm gonna be real pissed if I don't really have control over the outcome of that match. Spoilers. All right, guys, you've been great, but I'm done with this. I need to go home. I mean, I'm home, but I just need to stop.